Hello and welcome back to the Critically Clueless. In today's video, we are talking about Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and I'm going to give you my biggest tips to anyone going into this game. These are beginner tips, but hopefully they help you as well. If you do learn something or do find something interesting, don't forget to hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel. It helps out so much to see this channel grow, and it was very, very much appreciated. We also have an active and growing Discord as well, and a link for that will be down in the description. But anyway, enough of all this, let's get into the tips. And tip number one, I'm going to say that this game is bloody complicated. It is full of so many different mechanics. It's going to take you some time to actually figure out how this game works. So don't be afraid of actually making some custom settings when it comes to your game's difficulty. A few of these settings can seriously help your game. Having Death's Door on or having it so your dead companions raise after combat means you're not going to be losing your companions if, for instance, they may get hit by a huge critical attack that comes out of nowhere. Critical attacks are another thing that you can also turn off as well. You can also turn off auto level up, or you can put auto level up on, meaning that's one less mechanic that you don't actually have to worry about, at least until you know what you're actually doing. Seriously, top tip, take some time to look through these settings because it can seriously change your game without affecting the story, so you can still enjoy the actual story of the game while also enjoying some of the mechanics that you actually understand. Tip number two is character creation. Now, this game is extremely in-depth, and there are endless amounts of characters and combinations of characters that you can actually make. My biggest advice to you is actually take some time and work out who it is, what it is you want to create before actually going in, because the last thing you want to do is spend 6-7 hours with a character that, once you understand the game, you realize is going to be absolutely useless come end game. I personally have a couple of builds or a few builds on my own channel, but there are a ton of builds out there. Have a little look at how you want to play and the kind of character that you actually want to be running with. Tip number three is kind of a basic one, but can be really overlooked. And that's that every now and again, you're going to run into traps. And ideally, you don't want your entire party walking up to disarm the trap, because 9 times out of 10, it means one of your party walking into the trap and hurting themselves. Well, did you know you can unlink your party? It's pretty simple, really. Simply pull up your party members, hold Y to D, link them. After that, you're then free to disarm the trap, and then of course you can just simply relink them afterwards. It really is so easy to overlook these small details, so hopefully this one saves you a health potion or two. Tip number four is turn-based combat. Now, quite a lot of people don't actually like turn-based combat, and I can fully understand and appreciate why that is, because it does slow down the play of the game. However, this is a very complicated game with a huge amount of mechanics within it. So if you're not entirely sure of what does what, and all of the different abilities that you and your party have, I would highly recommend actually using turn-based combat until you familiarize yourself with combat and abilities and everything else that comes with the dice rolls within Pathfinder. Now, personally, I absolutely love turn-based combat, and so I play with it 95% of the time anyway, but I do know a lot of people do tend to avoid it just because it does slow down the game. And that is true, it will slow down your game, but if it helps you actually understand combat and understand the different mechanics within this game, then in my book, it's something you should definitely have a look at. Tip number 5 is another mechanic in which I completely overlooked. I didn't even realize it was actually in the game. I kind of stumbled upon it, and it's changed combat for me, and that's that inspect mode. When it comes to battling, you can actually pull up all of the details when fighting opponents. You can actually find out their weaknesses, find out how much health they have, what abilities that they may be using, and plan your strategy accordingly. Seriously, it's just down on a D-pad on an enemy. It's so easy, but yet so easy to actually overlook and completely miss as well. I'm almost embarrassed to say that I'm like 45 hours into my main campaign and I've only just found this feature. Tip number 6 is a little bit of a spoiler warning. As you progress during this game, as well as leveling up your main character, you get to do an extra load of leveling up where you pick a path for your character. There's different types of path. You can be angelic, you can be the devil, you can be Aeon, and the list goes on. These are mythic classes throughout the game, and some of them are incredibly difficult to actually obtain. The game does try to prompt these options on you as you play through the game. As you can see right now on screen, it says it requires the angelic mystic path. This kind of, you have to do it in this case, but when this pops up later in a game, for instance the demon path or the Aeon path, these options have to be picked at the time if you wish to actually go down that route. If you miss it, if you don't pick it, there's a good chance that you're just not going to be able to take that later in the game. And sometimes that's going to really suck. So have a little look, see, possibly even a Google about those sort of paths and which one you plan on taking. Tip number 7 is an obvious one when it comes to RPGs. Within these games, there is endless loot. You can pick up almost everything. Some of it is more valuable than others. However, if you pick up too much, you can see right now I am overweight. I have far too many goods on my person, and I'm going to start getting debuffs to myself and to my party because I am completely overloaded. A bit of advice to you is don't pick up every single piece of armor, every single weapon. If you don't think you're going to use it, 9 times out of 10, they're not that valuable anyway. So pick up what is valuable and leave everything else on the floor. And my final tip for this game is when you rest. Now, at the beginning, you're not going to notice. You're going to be resting and you're going to be thinking that it's really good, that you're restoring the health of your party before going into, further in dungeons and stuff like that. But the more you rest, the more corruption you and your party actually accumulate. There's no real way to get rid of this corruption. There are certain things you can do to slow the corruption down. The only way you can completely get rid of the corruption, and the game doesn't really do a great job of explaining that, is to actually rest at your main base, wherever you are currently camped, depending on what stage of the game you're in. That's where you need to go back to rest to completely remove corruption. And guys, that is my top 8 tips for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I hope at least one of these have helped you in some way. If it has, don't forget to hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts down below as well and let us know your top tips for this game. This is a huge game. There is so much to it and I'm sure you have plenty to share. So let us know down in the comments. The best tip will obviously get pinned for everyone else in the community to learn and grow as well. I've also just finished my debut novel, and that is available for pre-order on Amazon and Kindle. This book will also be released on paperback on the 1st of December, but for now you can find the pre-order link down in the description. If you want a way to help the channel, this is a fabulous way to help support the channel and allow us to grow even further. But thank you very much, guys, for joining me in this video. Hopefully it has helped. And until next time, I've been a monk, we've been a Critically Clueless, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy. And of course, as ever, guys, happy gaming.
A mortal gnat snaps its jaws at the Lord of Locusts.